Alright, freshman multimedia students, welcome to another brilliant tutorial. It's me, Mr. Cheney. We're about to get started on, well, we've already started the Practice PowerPoint, Introduction to PowerPoint. And we've done some things, we've created some slides, we've done some screenshots to do menu ribbons and that sort of thing. So this first video, part one of probably 3, is to serve as the tutorial and grading rubrics so that we know exactly what we need to do for each slide. So part 1, which is this video we're watching now, is going to be the setting up of the slides, again, which we've already done, but also what we need to have on slides 1 through 3 to show that we have mastered the skills of this introduction to PowerPoint. So let's go take a look at the assignment as it stands right now. So in Google Classroom, if I were to go to Microsoft Office Tools section, Intro to Microsoft PowerPoint is right here, and we're reading through the directions. We've already created this PowerPoint, and we've already auto-saved it, so it's in OneDrive, so that's good. So part 1 will consist of having created the 11 blank slides, using the snipping tool to screenshot each menu ribbon, and pasting it onto the blank slides. So 1 menu ribbon per slide for a total of 11 slides. Also included in the grading of part 1 will be altering slides 1 through 3, as shown in my tutorial video, this one you're watching now, attached to this assignment. So slide 1 is the home menu, slide 2 is the insert menu, slide 3 is the draw menu. Now for additional information and other videos that help you get to this point, this website right here is invaluable and shows everything that we're going to be going through, including indenting and spacing and inserting pictures and formatting and shapes and aligning, and all these things that we've talked about or will talk about is on this website. So let's get caught up to where we already are, and I'm going to open up PowerPoint here, and as you can see, I've got my 11 slides with the ribbons, and I'm just going to show you how we got to this point so we can continue on with this. So I'm going to open up a brand new PowerPoint, and what we did was, to get our 11 blank slides, get this out of the way, we went to layout here and we made this first slide blank, and now we click on the slide and we do Control-C to copy, click down here, and then Control-V to paste 10 more times for a total of 11. So I should have 11 blank slides. Okay, so now we are using our snipping tool right here to actually get the ribbons onto these slides. So slide 1, ribbon 1 is going to be home, and then insert, and then draw, and then design all the way over we're going to have. So you use your snipping tool, you get this, get your snipping tool, you click new, you get this entire ribbon. I got to get that out of the way, I don't like that. Nope. So let's try that again. Snipping tool, let's get my snipping tool out of the way before I do that. New, and this, and I'll get the whole ribbon, and I'm going to use the copy button, and I'll go over here and paste it on. Maybe put it to the top so we have room to put stuff down here. So, oops, that wasn't slide 1, so I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to replace that. So now it is slide 1. And then slide 2, same thing. So we're going to go to insert, we're going to do our snipping tool again, we'll click new, and so forth. So 11 times we were getting these ribbons as a reference to what we were going to work on, and that was our start. So on slide 1, if I go back over to the PowerPoint that we originally had, there's a bunch of stuff on this slide 1, so I'm going to kind of go through what we did on there on this new slide. So slide 1, we're talking about the home ribbon, and so we've got all the cut, copy, paste stuff that we talked about before, how to do a new slide, and then different types of slides that you can do. And then we've got the layout we already showed you, how we could reset anything, and then sections we're not going to talk about. We went through this entire text section, which I'll demonstrate right now with the shapes and the text. We went through these left, right, center, and the bullets and that sort of thing. We did text direction, we did align text, And then we got through to these kind of shortcuts to the shapes. Instead of having to go up into insert, we can go over here and do the shapes. I talked about arrange quite a bit. We did fill shapes, we did outlines, we did changing the line to a different type of line, we did a shape effect. These are all things like Control F we already know. Find and replace is something we would do if we had a bunch of text. And then creating and sharing a PDF we won't go through, and then dictate is just kind of a voice thing that I don't know if we really need to go over for an introduction to PowerPoint. Okay, so what we need to do is get a shape. So if I'm going back to what we've already done, we've got a bunch of shapes and we've got text and we put it into bulleted lists and we have a bunch of colors and stuff. So how did we get there? This is how. Going back, and we are going to do a shape of some sort. So I'm going to use the shortcut since it's on the home ribbon here, and I'm going to draw my shape. And okay, so now that we've got one shape using the shortcut keys, so now we talked about all these over here. We already know like the keyboard shortcuts, Control X, Control C, and all that sort of thing. And you can use these buttons over here to do that, but why do that when we have our Control C and Control V? So I can do that with my keyboard shortcuts, and so now we've got a couple shapes. Okay, going back to our home screen. So we've covered this, now we're going to do some text stuff. So what I'm going to do is insert a text box over here, so I have to go to the insert menu to do that, and I'm going to put my first and last name. And we're going to do a bunch of stuff with this using this. So if I double click in here, it'll highlight everything. I'm going to change to a different font, and I want you to do this on yours too. So right now you should have two shapes. You should have a text box, and you should have your first and last name in the text box, and you're changing the font type, and you're going to change the size, and we're going to do a bold, italics, underline. You could do a shadow if you want, but I want these three, so bold, italics, and underlined. You don't have to do a strike through, but just to know that that tool is there to do a strike through. Line spacing, so we can space this out or we can make it tighter. This is what normal looks like, so I'm just going to space it out a little bit like that. And this right here, you can actually do different things with the letters. So if I wanted all lowercase, it'll do that. If you wanted all uppercase, if you wanted just to capitalize each letter, so we could do that. I think I'll go uppercase on everything. We're going to do a highlight color behind our letters. So I'm going to go lime green here. I'm going to change my font color. So let's go maybe this blue here. Oh, but I have to highlight my words, which is a good reminder. Go over here, change it to blue. So now I have a green background, blue, and it's bold, italics, underline, all that good stuff. This I could reset, so I could clear all that stuff that I did. Okay, so I don't want to reset on that text, so what I'm going to do is use my undo, so I can get back to where I was at. But that's how you could reset if you needed to. And then these are just easier ways of increasing or decreasing your font. So if you wanted to use a button instead of a pull down menu, then you could do that. So there we go on that. So we have the text. So now let's talk about bullets. So we're going to, and I want you to do this, go in there and separate your first and last name. So you put your cursor in between, press enter, so you have two lines in one text box. And we're going to highlight both, and we're going to do a bulleted list. And here, if you did this arrow, you could change the shape of the bullets if you wanted to, instead of just solid. You could do that. Or if you wanted to do a numbered list, you could do this. So it could be standard 1, 2, 3. It could be with parentheses. It could be ABC. It could be Roman numerals. So you could do that as well. This is, aligning text within the box. So this is alignment left, this is center, this is right, and then justify is if you had a bunch of, like a paragraph, so we won't talk about that for now. So let's just go center. And then text directions, let's talk about that. So right now it's horizontal. We could rotate it around like this, or we could stack it. So before we did that, let me just bring down the text size so that I can do the text direction stacked, and then I can do this so that you can have vertical text like this instead of the other way around. So I'm going to not keep it that way. I just wanted you to see what that looked like. And I'm going to go back out like this, and I'm going to make my font like so. So what I do want to see is the two shapes. I want to see your name, first and last name, in a bulleted list of some sort with all of these font changes on it. And then we're going to talk about next the arranging of things, the shape fill, the shape outline, and the shape effects. Okay, to illustrate the arrangement stuff, we're going to add a third shape here. So I'm going to do a triangle. So now I've got two of the same shape, I've got a triangle, and as you can see, there are layers to this. This first shape is behind the triangle. This is also behind the triangle. So if I wanted to play with my layers, I'm going to go back to my home. That's what this arrange button is for. So you can bring things to the front, send it to the back, so that's like completely front or back, or you can bring things forward and backwards to create layers. So if I were to bring one of these shapes in front, actually it's already layered that way, so this is in front of that and this is in front of both. So now you've got front layer, middle layer, back layer right there. And let's say I wanted this triangle to be behind both, so I could go to my arrange section and I could send it backwards. So I would like you to do that with your three shapes. Sorry, send two back so it's in the back. That way it's behind everything. So we're going to be doing stuff with layers quite a bit. So knowing these tools with the front, sending front back and that sort of thing is a good thing. So now we're going to talk about grouping and ungrouping and aligning. So if I want these three shapes to move all at the same time, there's a couple things I can do. I could highlight all of them and then move them, but they're still independent shapes. You can see that they all have their own outlines. So right now I can move them. So what I'm going to do is actually, and I need you to do this, is you're going to highlight all the shapes so that all three are highlighted, and you are going to use the arrange tool to group these together. And what that does, actually, and let me back that up. You're going to copy and paste first so that you have two separate groups, and on this one you are going to group that. So we'll go back here, arrange, and you're going to group this second section. So this is still going to be independent. This group is going to be one group like that. So I should see two sets of groups. What else? Okay, so alignment and rotation. So there are ways to align these and distribute them different ways. So if I wanted to like maybe have all of these aligned a certain way, I can use the alignment to do that. So I can align them all center like this, and it'll help us out. So rotation we don't really need. So now let's do shape fill and shape outline. So I'm going to take one of these shapes right here, and I'm going to change the inside color. So that's what shape fill means. So let's say I wanted this yellow, so I could do that. And then shape outline is the line around it. So I'm going to do a different color. So maybe like a green, but I can't really see that green because it's a thin line right now. So the weight of the line is what I would want to change. So I want you to do that as well. Change the weight. Or you can change it to like a wavy line, or you can change it to like a dashed line. So this is what I want to see on your slide as well. One of these shapes with a different shape fill, with a different line and a different weight. One last thing that I wanted to show as far as that is concerned is if I want to change the shape fill or the shape outline with the color that was already on my slide, I could use the eyedropper to do that. So if let's say I wanted the line to be on this shape, from here I could just do that and it'll change it automatically for me. Okay, so slide one, I should have two sets of three shapes. One of them should be filled with a different line. You have your first and last name in a bulleted list with all those changes. And now we will move on to slide number two. Okay, slide two has all to do with the insert ribbon or menu on the PowerPoint ribbon. And so we're not gonna insert everything here, but there are gonna be a few things that I want you to insert for this particular project. We're going to skip the new slide and reuse slide because we've already covered that. Table, we're going to insert a table. Let's insert a table that is 3 by 2 like this, so you highlight it like that, and we'll just bring that down, and then now you can type in there, so name 1, name 2, name 3, so I want you to do exactly that with me. So you should have a chart of some sort, or table I mean. So now we're going to insert a picture, so we can, if you don't have one on your computer, you can get a stock image and it'll show a bunch of things. So I just want you to put a picture in there. So you can insert picture like this, you can resize it. Let's not make it fill the entire screen, but let's just have a picture there. Going back to the insert, now you can do a screenshot. It'll show you the available windows. So this is kind of like your snipping tool, but within PowerPoint. So you can experiment with that instead of the snipping tool if you'd like. We'll skip that though for this slide. Photo album we won't do. Shape, we already kind of know the shapes, so we won't need to do that. But let's talk about icons. Icons are like different little sketch things that we can use. Pick one of these categories and you're just going to insert one of these icons. I'm going to go with a piece of cake. So it's just kind of a sketch drawing instead of a picture. So I expect that. So I need a table, I need a picture, I need an icon, and going back over here, 3D models, we could probably do, so let's put a 3D model in there too. I'm going to go to clothing and let's go with this sheriff's badge. That'll be interesting. And what's cool about these is that they are 3D. So that's pretty cool. So we'll put that in there. And going back to the insert menu, so we've covered that. Smart art, let's actually insert a smart art. So what I want you to do, everybody's going to do a pyramid. We're going to do this one, put that in there. We're going to resize it so it's much smaller, and we'll do the text. So I want this text from everybody, so we're going to go good, and then on the second level we're going to go better, and in the last level we're going to go best. So everybody's slide should look like that for their smart art. Going back, chart we're going to skip, power we're going to skip, forms we're going to skip. We're not going to do these add-ins. Zoom, I don't think we need to know for intro. Link would be with text, so I don't want to cover that now. Comments, we don't really need to know. I've already shown you text box. Header and footer, we don't need to cover right now. Word art we will use, so this is a way to get like a kind of textured text. So, and you can change these, so once you have that, it gives you a shape format thing, which we'll cover later, but that is one way. So let's do that. We'll do a word art, and let's do your first and last name again with a word art instead of just regular text. And going on down, this is how you can add date or time to your slide. You can add slide number, you can add some sort of object. There are math equations that you can do, which we won't put on our slide, but it's there for you. There are different symbols that you can use. So for instance, if you needed to use like the degrees, or if you needed pi or something like that, that's available. And then video and audio. So the last thing we will put on this slide is I want you to put a video from an online video, and it'll allow you to put in like a YouTube. So we can just go to YouTube and put in a random slide. So I'm going to go to YouTube and I'll just do one from my account. You can do one from my account too if you want as well, but let's just put a random video. Maybe this back to school night one would be good.
Welcome.
And I'm going to do the share, copy, go back to PowerPoint, and then that's how you go in here and Control V to paste, press enter, it'll show the video, and you're going to insert that video. And then you can well, that came in pretty small, so that's good. So we're going to have that video. And so now that is pretty much the stuff that we want to be able to insert. Lastly, the audio is kind of the same as video, except that would be music, which we will use. And then screen recording is kind of what I'm doing now, so you can do that within PowerPoint. So that would be slide number 2. Okay, last slide for this part 1 is the draw menu. So we have the draw menu on our slide 3, and some of you, there was a few that don't have this draw menu, so we'll figure that out. But just to go through a few of these tools, This just selects objects. This you can actually put a lasso around an object, so we won't really cover that. But let's do some stuff with like the highlighters and pens. So you have the pen, you have, and that's 5mm right now. So you have black pen, red pen as defaults. You have a pencil, and then you have a highlighter. So if we wanted to show the ruler, you could do that. So that would help you out with the drawing. But I'm going to take that out. So let's just go with a red pen and kind of do some scribbles for me. We're going to do that with every single tool just so we can see the difference between all of them. So I have red pen, black pen, I've got the pencil, I've got the highlighter. If you needed to erase something, you could use the erase tool. So it takes out the whole thing. Ink to text we won't cover. Ink to shape we're not going to cover right now. Ink to math, and then all of these things are not necessary, but the main tools right here I just want you to kind of experiment, scribble around with, and that will conclude this intro for the first 3 slides of the intro to PowerPoint. Part 2 will be slides 4, 5, 6. See you back in class.